Amid global uncertainties. That's the
right.
topic of discussion this morning. Let us quickly introduce our guest, Adefolarin Olamilekan, who's live via telephone this morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Adefolarin.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. And good morning to all our listeners out there.
Right. Adefolarin is the lead researcher at Pole Eco Analytics and also an economist. Now, Nigeria's economic landscape is quite complex and it's influenced by global trends, just like we've seen in recent times, from domestic policies and socio-political factors, etc. Now, the country faces challenges like inflation, unemployment, and infrastructure deficits, which impact economic growth and stability.
That's right.
The government has implemented reforms to address these issues and attract investment. But would you say that these policies have been able to bring about the desired, results? But just recently, we're made to understand that the federal government of Nigeria is still, intentional, when it comes to reducing inflation to single digits. And it has also assured that it will be creating, more jobs. Now, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, announced this plan during the IMF and World Spring meetings in Washington, D.C. The government is collaborating with development partners like the World Bank to empower youth and support infrastructure development. This is what the Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, said. And according to him, the Bola Tinubu's reform agenda is reportedly working with commendable results. And the Central Bank of Nigeria, on its part, led by Yemi Cardoso, noted that these reforms have restored investor confidence, and the government aims to set Nigerians on a trajectory to become a $1 trillion economy by 2030. Very quickly, Adefolarin, I know this is one conversation that we've had over time, but taking a look at the new twist, trailing it, we might just have this on the front burner for quite some time.
Right.
All right. There is global uncertainty at the moment as we speak. We've seen, economies across the globe also bracing up for the new development. But what exactly, or where are we, and what exactly is the status of Nigeria's economy as far as this global uncertainties, or uncertainty, as it were, is concerned?
I think to tell us the truth, there are two sides of the global side where Nigeria is on the global economy. First, we must first understand that the meeting that the government went for, the CBN, the Minister of Finance, is a meeting that normally showcases all manner of data that is going to suit investors, that will make some certain individuals to be happy that, okay, they are part and parcel of this. But there is, the other side of it all is that it's the real economy aspect, the real people feeling the impact of whatever policy they have gone to discuss at IMF, World Bank meeting, spring meeting, that the people feel. That's the other side. So what I'm trying to point out is this. We should understand what is happening on the global economy uncertainty in two ways. One, there's a part that doesn't feel all that we on the other side is feeling. The A and the B side. The A doesn't feel all the impact that we are feeling. But they use the analogy, the illustration of what is happening to the B part to illustrate the global economy. I hope you are understanding me. Now, at the IMF World Bank group meeting, spring meeting that was discussed, IMF brought up their own report about the global economy, the uncertainty, and the rest of them. But guess what? The capitalist industry of this world are not feeling the impact of what the downtrodden of this world are feeling. Because it is the policy of the capitalists of this world that is making it downtrodden to feel the badness of the economy policy. Let's now take it back home to Nigeria. The global economy uncertainty is there. What did IMF and World Bank pointed out that is the global uncertainty of Nigeria economy? They said we are having a poor oil receipt. They were not making more money from oil receipt anymore. That's number one. They said we are not earning more money from export anymore. They also pointed out that we are having challenges with our budgeting system because we are still spending money on certain areas that we don't supposed to spend money. Talking about cost of governance. These are the two things they brought up because I had the opportunity to go through some of the analysis that IMF brought up. Now, just suppose that with the global uncertainty that IMF and the World Bank are talking about. Now there's a challenge in the global economy due to the tariff hike of Donald Trump. So oil price is falling. So countries that depend on oil revenue are not making as much money as expected. And one of those countries is Nigeria. Also, the other aspect is expenditure of government spending. Government across the world are spending so much money, but nobody is seeing what the government is spending the money on. one of those countries, one of those government, Nigerian government, we are spending much money, but we are not seeing where the money is going. Then the third aspect is the aspect whereby the downtrodden are now the one bearing the burden of all these global uncertainties they were talking about, because government are not able to provide enough infrastructure, enough development for the people. That's one. Government is not able to meet up with the welfare packages of the people. That's two. Then government, on the other hand, is not able to protect the vulnerability of these poor people on the B side that I mentioned. For the A side, they are having everything. Dangote was at that meeting, Rumili was at that meeting. But guess what? All their banks, all of them are declaring billions upon billions of naira as profit. So we must be able to understand this key of the A side and the B side when it comes to global economic uncertainty. They always bring this picture to show us that yes, there is global uncertainty, but guess what? They are not feeling the heat. It is the poor that is bearing the burden of global uncertainty, not the elite class who attended the World Bank IMF group meeting in Washington last week.
Okay, so looking at the B part now, Mr. Defolarin, we also understand from the World Bank that more Nigerians are going to be sliding into the poverty club. How much of a concern should that be to the federal government?
Definitely, many Nigerians will slide into the poverty club. But why are they falling into the poverty club? Because of the policy that have been implemented at this point in time. Whether the unification of the naira exchange to dollar or the removal of subsidy, this policy plumped a lot of Nigerians into poverty because we are not prepared for it. And it was a policy that was supposed to have been enacted, implemented more than 25 years ago, but it was not implemented because the government at that time was doing whatever they want to do. But not until this particular government came and implemented it. But also it didn't implement it in a strategic way to safeguard the poor, because it is the poor that is bearing the burden. So when IMF and World Bank tell you that many Nigerians will fall into poverty line, you also ask them all the money that have been borrowed in Nigeria. For instance, IMF borrowed Nigerian government money for stabilization. The tax reform bill that you see that is coming up, it was money borrowed from IMF that was used to prepare that document. If you talk about the exchange rate, unification, etc., that CBN is doing, it was stabilization fund that comes from IMF that is being used to tackle some of those reforms. The World Bank also borrowed the Nigerian government money. You're asking all the money that state governments are using for certain projects, either in agriculture and the rest of it, they call counterpart funding. Where did the money go? And you ask them to say, where is the evidence of those money at the same time? You can't find it. So if IMF is telling us that poor Nigerians will fall into poverty, they are indirectly telling us that their policy that they are encouraging Nigerian government to borrow, or the money they borrow Nigerian government has failed hopefully to address the issue of poverty in Nigeria.
So you're just saying it's not just it's not just a Nigerian leadership, issue. It's an international, financial policy making group or body. They also have a part to play in this entire discourse. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Well,
exactly. It's well known across the world that their policy failed. Their policy push more people into poverty. Everybody knows.
Could this also be why Donald Trump of the U.S. has seemingly sidelined or seemingly sidelining or putting them in check as it stands? But let's just go beyond that and have you also know that I don't know if you're aware where the chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation, Solomon Adiola, alleged sometime recently that former President Muhammadu Buhari's government borrowed over $400 billion in order to stabilize the naira against the U.S. currency. Now, Adeola, if you must know, is representing Ogun West. And he also said the administration spent trillions of naira on fuel subsidy. And he said, this is the part that is really disturbing, that the funds were held by less than 1% of Nigeria's population. Now, in
Definitely he was correct.
In this regard, it makes us want to wonder what will be the fate of the average Nigerians, which, of course, you said are the ones the brunt. I mean, you and I, family members who are calling on a daily basis. What is the fate, and is there a way forward, a way upward for us economically?
Yeah, the fate of every Nigerian is that we're all bearing the brunt. And the 1% that the Olamileko Adeola mentioned,
less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Yes.
They are part and parcel of the 1%, if you want to generalize, because they are part and parcel of it. Because those money borrowed at that time was also used by National Assembly members in one way or the other. Because when you say you borrow money to stabilize the naira against the dollar, what the government was doing was that it was giving subsidy out, naira exchange subsidy out to certain people without looking at the official price or value of the naira to those currency at the right way. So that's what really happened. So when IMF give them like 200 billion or 500 billion to stabilize the naira, instead of them to ensure that money is used specifically for areas that will help the naira to be strengthened. And what are the areas that will help naira to strengthen? We should import more, support manufacturing sector, support the factory sector, so they can be exporting more, we can earn more dollars. But rather than doing that, the government was putting money in cosmetic aspect of the economy that doesn't give opportunity for us to earn foreign currency.
So, sir,
also on the other way, hello?
Yeah. Are you there?
On the other way around, the money gets into the economy. Some houses were built, some buildings were set up, some plazas were built, construction workers were enjoying. People were, when I think Dominic was talking about 1%, that 1% people that earn that money, most of them own estate in Abuja, own estate outside Abuja, own estate across the world. So that money went into the economy in a wrong way, went into the wrong side of the economy, and that's why we are bearing the brunt at this point in time.
So who's not telling us the truth? Who's not being truthful to us? Who's not being transparent? Is it the government? Is it Wale Adum, Minister of Finance? Is it Cardoso? Is it IMF? Who's not really telling us the truth? And how can we wriggle our ways out of this?
The truth now is that balloon money they collected has balloon our debt to 141 trillion. And rising 171 trillion any moment from now.
What's the implication? What's the implication of that?
The implication is that we will continue. The poor masses will not have enough infrastructure development to help them out of poverty. And when we talk about we want to address poverty, we need to use development structure to reduce poverty. But we are not doing that because there's no money, enough money to do that. There's no enough money to provide for security. There's not enough money to provide for water. There's not enough money to provide for universities and medical health areas, and so many areas that will help poverty to be reduced. Either mental poverty or food poverty or pocket poverty or whatever poverty you want to call it. There's not enough money because the money that's supposed to go into that is not being used to service debt. Just last week, I did a report around Nigerian debt servicing. Do you know how much we have spent so far in the first quarter of 2023 and 2025 to pay for debt? And also do an analysis of African debt. Africa alone, we are paying about $90 billion yearly to pay to service our debt. Nigeria is among the top 10 indebted nations that is paying not less than 8 to 10 billion US dollars to service debt, because we are among the first 5 that is having the highest debt. After South Africa, Egypt, the next is Nigeria. They're followed by Ghana. So those are the areas. So the more debt we are owing, the more we are servicing it, and the more it will become a deficit to our fund that's supposed to use for development purpose.
Okay, Adefolarin, very quickly now, we know that this Bola Tinubu-led administration had expressed optimism, especially looking at this year, the inflation projection that we're going to be having a single-digit inflation. And we somehow started this year on a positive note, right? I'm sure you would agree to that, looking at the slight, decline in inflation rate. But that took a new twist recently, looking at the latest inflation rate. I'm just wondering at this point in time, what triggered that twist, Adefolarin?
I think we must understand there are two types of inflation in Nigeria. Okay. We have the official data inflation released by the government, and we have our own street data information about inflation in Nigeria.
I'm trying to understand that, Mr. Adefolarin. Is this to say that which one are we banking on now? Which one is the true reflection?
No, the true reflection is the one on the street, but the paper reflection, which is the official reflection, is the one on the government will announce. And that is the way also all these international bodies also announce figures, data around your economy. So you must understand, the government have been able to understand that, and that's why they are bringing all these official documents. Because if you check back 15, 18 years ago, there was not much data about Nigeria economy. All of a sudden, when Dr. Yemi Kali came into NBS, he revolutionized that aspect. I was beginning to have official data coming from government about inflation, unemployment, and the rest of them. So they are continuing that speed, and that's why we are having that official document. But if you compare that official document or official figure with what is happening on the street, you'll be mad, because there is a wide gap between the official inflation rate and the one that is on the street. If you have official inflation rate is 23, just double it by 3. Just double that figure by 3. How will you double it by 3? We have urban center, we have semi-urban in the rural area. So there's inflation in the rural area, there's inflation in the semi-urban, and there's inflation in the urban center. The urban center could be the Abuja city, like Mitama and the rest of them. Then Nyanya could be the suburban areas. Then all those villages that you can find in Abaji are the rural area. So there is different inflation altogether. So when you put different 23, if you do that way, 23, what is the inflation figure? That's about 69 figure. But the one that they normally give us is the official, which is 23%, which we normally take. But you also know that when NBS is bringing out the data, they also tell you that there's inflation in the rural area, there's inflation in the urban center. But how do they put it together to get 23? That's what we don't know. But we do the official, on the street, inflation is quite higher than what they are telling us.
Okay, Adefolarin, thanks for that clarification. Maybe we should set a day aside so that we can indeed question the integrity of these, reports that we get from the NBS and juxtapose it with what is happening on the streets. However, Adefolarin, I think last month, if I'm not mistaken, there was this slight reduction in the price of fuel. And we're also made to understand that there was a significant drop or crash in the prices of foodstuff and some other essentials. So that should have maybe reduced the inflation rate, but it appears that the issues are getting more complicated as far as the inflation rate is concerned, the price differentials here and there. And it leaves me with, the next question as to what your projection would be. What should Nigerians expect?
Right. In terms of that, in regards of that, or in terms of what you have just asked, the issue is I hardly play with inflation figures because it can be confusing. It can take you away from the real sense of what is happening. I deal with the price unit of goods and services. I prefer to look at price unit of goods and services and do a comparison of them and be able to tell you that, okay, this is the price of what is averagely is being taken. Take, for instance, the price of bread. Although there are different categories of bread, different depending on their flour, their sweetness, and whatever. But you know that this price will help us to guide us better. But a general average of what the government normally brings as inflation can be so confusing. Is it the food inflation you want to talk about, or is it general core inflation? Although we also need to educate our people that there are three types of inflation that government normally brings out. They bring out the core inflation. The core inflation is general inflation of everything. Then they also bring out the food inflation. Then they also, under that food inflation, they also, the third one is they now look at service point inflation, talking about service and the rest of them, which they break down transport, logistics, airfare, and the rest of them. But the core one is the one that they normally push out, which we normally see as headline.
Right.
Headline inflation.
So the headline, the core, and the food inflation. These are the three types. So the headline is the major one. The core talks about all the various parts that I've just mentioned: the service, transport ticket, air ticket, and the rest of them. Meanwhile, the food inflation talk about the general basket of price of goods and services. But the issue is this: it is the price unit that we should be looking at that will help us and guide us, so that we will not just put everything in one basket and say, okay, this is inflation. Meanwhile, when we go to the street, the price of gari, of a mudu in Nyanya is different from the one in Use, it's different from the one in what they call it, Suleja. But what they do is that they give you an average. If the price of gari is 10 naira, 10 naira, 12 naira, 15 naira, they will not tell you, okay, it is 9 naira, at least 9 naira average. So those are the things they calculate together and give us as inflation or food inflation. But the issue still remains that the street inflation that we have in terms of price is what people follow. And the other side of your question is that why this is not reflecting. See, all the businessmen that you see, and that small trader, big trader, they are all making money. But at the end of the day, they end up spending the money on logistics, transport, and the rest of it, because what they have been enjoying so far through what has happened over the last 2 years is making many of them to see opportunity to earn more money in this regard.
All right, well, we'll just put a peg to your thoughts now, open the phone lines, and get to hear from family members what they think, on the topical issue. On possibly, leave you to cool off just a little bit, because the heat is really very intense right here in the studio. And then just before the show is rounded up, we'll call you back so you give your final thoughts on the discourse this morning, if that's okay.
All right, thank you for the opportunity.
Right. Well, yes, you've heard it, family members. That's what it is. The conversation is still brewing in here, and we've had our guest, Adefolarin Olamilekon, give us or shed light into what the discourse is all about, as we're looking at Nigeria's economic status amid global uncertainties. And it might interest you to know, he had said there's a side A and a side B. I didn't quite see that from that perspective. But what would be your questions in this regard? Let's open the phone lines, give you the numbers already, and have your thoughts in a short bit.
Well, all right, you can call us on 09073530044 or 09087668888. Send a voice note or a message. If you have questions bothering your minds, you can also send them to the WhatsApp portal number on 090970544 and 50. Let's go pay some bills. We'll be back in a short bit.
Right.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Introducing the Mark Homes Limited, your partner in real estate, committed to turning your dream homes into reality. Now selling the Mark Royal Estate, a premier mixed-use development by the train station in Kagini, Abuja. Residential plots, commercial spaces, and top-tier infrastructure, all in one vibrant location. Coming soon in Gwarimpa, the Mark Mall, a bold commercial hub designed for visibility, accessibility, and long-term value. Visit us today at Suites 14, 15, and 16, God's Own Plaza, number 4, Chakum Street, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. Log on to www.themarkprojects.com or call 070-7921-9075. The number again, 070-7921-9075. The Mark Homes Limited, turning your dream homes into reality.
Oh yeah, now logistics. Oh yeah, now logistics. 1, 2, 3. You want order food? Oh yeah, now. Straight to your doorstep. We dey come. One pick up something. Oh yeah, now. Or drop off something. We dey come. Maybe you need that for shopping. Oh yeah, now. Direct from your favorite. We dey come. You want order your cooking gas. Oh yeah, now. Direct to your doorstep. We dey come. We dey run massive discount. Oh yeah, now. Just place your order now. We dey come. We dey run free delivery when you order. Oh yeah now.
Hurry now and download Oya Now app on the Google Play Store or Apple Store. You can also visit us at www.oyanow.ng or call us on 080-8410-1000 or 081-2355-4000. We are available in Lagos and Abuja. Oya Now with the come.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Meet the Infinix Note 50 series, defined by pioneers who push boundaries. Its ultra-resilient armor alloy metal frame design gives you that slick, top-notch style. Unlock efficiency with intelligence of the one-tap Infinix AI and circle to search anything on your phone with Google. Need power in a flash? 90 watts fast charge rockets you from 0 to 100% in 38 minutes. Exclusive deals at authorized stores. Get your Note 50 now. The Infinix Note 50 series. Pro design, pro AI.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, this is Eagles Outlook, and we're looking at Nigeria's economic status amid global uncertainties. And we've been able to also grapple with the fact that there is also a street inflation, as different from what the NBS probably would give us. Official, data, you know, and all of that. And street inflation, according to our guest, Adefolari, says that, look, is the inflation the reality, the inflation that reflects the reality, you know, of our lives, different from what it is that is projected, so to speak, by the NBS. But then it also brings, you know, to limelight, you know, issues that border around policy, issues that center around sustainability, that centers around transparency, and quite a number of other issues in between. I mean, policies and projects, they've also had implications in the lives of Nigerians. We where there is a need for the government's efforts to reduce inflation and create jobs, and that it can improve living standards, and that the government's reforms can attract foreign investments and promote economic growth. It might also give you, a peek into job creation and reduce unemployment and improve, economic productivity. That is the implication. But if we're looking at the expectations now, I don't know. Nigerians are expecting the government to implement policies that promote economic growth and stability. And our guest was very clear on that one, saying that, look, so far, not so good. The policies that has been implemented, that has been put out, has not been very helpful to us as a people, as a country. I mean, creating jobs has not been so much so as expected. I mean, Nigerian youths, who is supposed to be the focus, are not really seeing that job creation as it speaks. Well, we're taking your calls already. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you, please. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, Boniface, calling from Obacha.
Boniface from where?
Yes.
From where?
Maraba.
From Maraba. Okay, talk to us, Boniface. What's your take?
Yes. You see, there is one thing to know. When you have problem and when you don't have problem. When you have problem and you want people to help you, you define your problem. Today, our leaders don't know that there's any problem on ground. They borrow this money for their family because their children didn't go to school here. They are in abroad. They enjoy all the best of life. That is why when they have even a headache can make them to fly abroad because of the misappropriation of the less privileged money to the detriment of all other people in Nigeria. So it is when you know and when you are sensitive that you can come out of this problem. Today they will release one statistic that are unrealistic, and nobody questions them. They are living in their luxury. One person, a politician, can drive a car of 1 billion today. Nobody checkmate them to the detriment of the masses, and they don't even travel home to see what is going on today. Now we are settling into a rainy season. Nobody goes to the farm, and if you go in their agenda, they have this. What is it called? Food security. And farmers cannot go to the farm. And you are talking about 2027 election when people cannot go to the farm. Is it not a shame? You call your leader when you are making people, pushing people from their original standard of life to a very bad portion of life, and you are claiming with nobody guy in Abuja you cannot visit your constituent, and you claim you are a leader. We don't even have economic data to stay small. But let me tell you for free that even these people that are in the system today don't even know they are ruling.
Okay,
Thank you very much. God help us.
Boniface, thank you so much.
Take it all you
your contribution.
Very audacious right now. Boniface says the leaders do not really have the intentions for you, good intentions as it speaks. But let's see how we can get back with our guest right there. Remember that you can also be a part of the conversation on Facebook or on YouTube. So subscribe to the YouTube channel at Eagles FM Abuja, as well as on Facebook at Eagles FM Abuja as well. Drop a message via the WhatsApp or a number 0909-705-4450. Whether it's a voice note, it shouldn't be more than 1 minute 35 seconds. Yeah, and if it is a call, indeed, be sure to also be very short and straight to the point.
All right, Mr. Defalarin, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we understand that plans are underway for the forthcoming national population and housing census exercise. In the same vein, the federal government is also looking to, creating job opportunities, even though it had expressed some sort of satisfaction with the unemployment rate at this point in time. So while we gear up for the next population, exercise, what job opportunities do you think would suit the unemployed population that we have at this point in time? And do you think that will be some sort of respite to all of the economic woes that we have been faced with?
Very interesting question. And again, when we talk about such activity that is common, if we maybe what we'll be looking at is the population census. Will it bring some jobs? Definitely, it's going to bring some ad hoc jobs, cosmetic kind of a job that will last maybe 2-3 months, just like the way INEC ad hoc job normally comes in. But when we talk about job creation for Nigeria, we're looking at a sustainable jobs that will outlast, a season, a period of someone's life. A job that can take you to retirement, you collecting pensions. Those are the jobs that Nigerians are aiming for. Not jobs that will come and after 6 months, after 1 year, it has ended. No, that's not the kind of job. And such jobs can't come directly from government. It can only come from industrialization of the economy. When you talk about manufacturing, when you talk about productive sector, when you talk about we are producing, we are moving from primary to secondary to tertiary productive sector of the economy. That's how we can create really lasting jobs. But on the other hand, if the population center will bring some jobs to Nigerians youth, but I'm betting it's not jobs that will be forever. It's not jobs that will bring pension. Although it could create a sideline also for some people. You get it? That's what it can bring. But talking about these jobs that Nigerians are looking at, is jobs that can cut across the primary aspect of our economy to secondary aspect of our economy to tertiary aspect, and that is what productivity. That's what we need. And when I'm talking about productivity, not until we begin to produce something physical. It could be a productivity in the area of service. It could be a productivity in the area of offering consultancy. It could be a productivity in the area of offering your intellectual capacity. You get it? So those are the kind of jobs that Nigerians can earn, pay for their pension, contributive pension, and have something at the time of retirement. That's the job we are looking for. And that's what government in the US are doing. Some jobs just for cosmetic jobs that will last for 2-3 months, 6 months, 1 year, like the public work jobs that was created under Buhari. No, that's not, or empower jobs that, no, that's not the kind of job that we're looking for. It's jobs that can take people down to their old age of retirement. That's the kind of job we're looking for.
Okay. Well, I don't know. What would be your recommendations then in this regard? Because the president, Tinubu, had patted himself in the back just a few days ago, where he said that he had been able to to indeed deliver the promise of job creation and employment for Nigerians with the Leap initiative that he has put together and all of that, which some believe it is an offshoot of what had been there before, even during the Buhari administration. What will be your recommendations, and how do you also react to this statement from Mr. President?
I think we should just let them understand that we already know what kind of jobs they are created. It won't be different from Empower. It won't be different from you win ambassadors. Those are the kind of jobs that the government in Nigeria create at this point in time. And so maybe they recruit people into the civil service or public sector or to the army, police, they recruit people. They could also outline that as one of their ways of generating jobs. But the larger chunk of the people that we know that government normally engage between when APC came to power in 2015 and now are jobs that millions of Nigerians are engaged through the Empower, You Win, or PDP and the rest of them. And the current one that the government is doing, the agenda stuff they are putting together. But the issue is to create jobs that for millions of Nigeria, the jobs that will outlast them to their ninth day. When I mentioned earlier that pension and the rest of those are the kind of jobs Nigeria are looking for. Not the jobs that you create, you will giving somebody 150,000 naira. He doesn't have pension, doesn't have anything to collect. He will just work for 3-4 months. After that, it closed down. Another government comes, they close it. That's not the kind of job we are talking about. We're talking about jobs that can be sustained in the old age of 65 to 70 years.
So what recommendations? What recommendations do you have? What recommendations do you have?
The recommendation is this. We know that government cannot create jobs entirely. Find a way to partner with private sector or on your own. Government, we have in Nigeria, as we speak right now, we have 64 government-owned enterprises. Most of those enterprises have left their mandate. When we talk about government enterprise, we are talking about enterprises that are going to be producing, offering services. Okay. You know that those enterprises they are not recruiting, they are not giving anybody job. But and the reason why they are not doing that because they are very lazy. They are not producing, they are not offering any service. And that 65 enterprise alone can generate millions of jobs for Nigeria if they know what they are doing. Okay. Then on the other hand, the private sector also will come in. But the private sector are also limited because of the rest of these businesses also want to accumulate money. They don't want to have more employers. Because they will not pay much pension, they will not pay for security, they will not pay for insurance. So they are limiting their employment capacity. Although they know they can do it, but they are just limiting because of the capital they want to continue to have to expand their business. So they put limit to kind of people, the number of people they are employing. So we know that is the sector that employment can come from. But on the other hand, government on its own with the 64 enterprise can generate jobs. It's just that most of them are now shifting to tax collector as a government enterprise. Everybody is collecting tax. All the National Assembly bills that review all those government enterprises is working is towards to be collecting taxes from everybody, and that's not the place to go.
Okay.
Talk about Nigerian Railway Corporation. How many jobs that Nigerian Railway Corporation have created in the last 10 years? Nobody knows.
Okay.
Talk about, look at the areas that we can generate jobs for Nigerians through government aspects, provide services, and provide products.
Okay.
So here we are. None of them is doing that. They are always looking for tax to collect.
All right, Mr. Adefolari, thank you so much for adding your voice in the discourse today. We're looking forward to more conversations with you in the coming future, in the coming days rather. But then let's just quickly take some messages. I'll let Onwefe do justice to these.
All right, I'll quickly squeeze this one in from Samuel from Kuje. He says, please, now that it is certain that those who are enjoying the economic growth in the country are less than 1%, how would the poor masses survive in this country? Because the political leaders and the elite are not interested in the welfare of the masses. I think this conversation is one that's been ongoing. All right.
That's right.
Adefolari, we'll certainly revert to you in the days to come.
In fact, tomorrow we're going to be engaging with you. Let's talk about matters about the poverty lane, where of course more people will be getting into the poverty lane come 2027.
All right.
26.
All right.
But let's look at yet another message. Let's look at this message. Okay.
Thank you very much, Adefolari.
Appreciate.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So that's it. Now we're seeing yet another message right now on Facebook.
This is Stanley
Ouchman.
Ouchman.
Yes.
It says, good day. I'm watching you live from Ontario.
Right.
You're doing a very good job. Just that the negative news we hear from Nigeria on a daily basis makes me sick. Tinubu and his APC, they've destroyed this country. May God help us. Stanley, thank you so much for watching.
Thank
All
you.
right, and it's sad to know that this is the feedback you're getting from the update we are reeling out on a daily basis. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, then, this is where we call it a close on Eagles Outlook. Yet another program. We're coming up in a short bit. And don't forget that there would be the business news at 9:55 on the AM side. And at 10 o'clock, of course, is
The General Open Banter.